It's my pleasure to introduce the second feature poet today, Hoke S Glover III, known to some as Brother Yao. He's the author of Marching Towards Heaven, which appeared in 2010, and I did see there's copies available here today, and I highly recommend you pick that up. Excuse me, it came out in 2020, just 4 years ago. He's also the author of Inheritance, and most recently, Crazy as Hell, The Best Little Guide to Black History, which is hot off the press from W.W. Norton, and they are available over there as well. Hoke is a graduate from the Bowie State University, the English department in 1994. While at Bowie, he began selling books in the Student Center. This small vending operation grew to be Karibu Books, one of the nation's largest black bookstores from 1993 to 2008. In 2005, he returned to Bowie State University as a professor and is now the chair of he's the chair of the Department of Language, Literature, and Cultural Studies. Hoke is somebody that I met many, many years ago. He was among the first poets I met when I moved to Baltimore. His work has been in Smartish Pace, and I was looking up before today, his last reading for us was 12 years ago, so long overdue. This gives me great pleasure to welcome Hoke back to read for us today.
Glasses. I'm getting old. I buy a new pair. I remember my mom had like 30 pairs of glasses. And she said, "What's wrong with you?" And then now I have 30 pairs of broken glasses. A couple of things I just wanted to say. Stefan, you're just one of my favorite people. I've never calculated a biography, and he didn't read it today, but one of the things that he said when he put up a bio for me is a lot of my work is on the way the documented record of African American consciousness is affected by the lack of African American publishing infrastructure. So I just say that because almost nowhere in the world do people have an angst with the same people that publish them so much. So it's a very difficult thing. There's a filter for African American consciousness that exists. But I didn't even have a bio until Stefan wrote it for me. Because I was like, did I say that? I don't know where he found it, but just a great guy. I'm going to do 3 sort of quick things, and then also pleasure to meet Emma. I just, as a bookseller, this is a beautiful spot, beautiful day. And then Stefan said too, just beautiful readers, You guys have a really vibrant literary community. I mean, if you sit in open mic, sometimes it's difficult, and this one wasn't. So, just, I don't know, maybe I should move around here or something. I'd like to hang out with you guys all the time.
Yeah, do it.
All right, so I'm just going to start and read a little bit from my first book, Inheritance. And so my work has been preoccupied with the relationship between my parents and then also my family. And so the first poem, a little different, but it's called Secrets. I did not tell you about the eyes of the first fish I ever caught. They were glossy and so much like a man's, and I stared at them in a way you cannot stare at the living. Though he, the fish, was alive and maybe looking at me too. He who had caught him for sport and hunger, an excuse and mystery about being a man. Often when I dip my hands in the river in the morning's fog to feel the warmth the water is, he comes back. I wanted him to be trophy. I know what to do with fish, but have no place for his eyes. Mm-hmm. And then Reginald Dwayne Betts, and I'll talk a little bit about him when I read a section from Crazy as Hell. This was always a poem that he liked. It's called Clouds. Coiled around the earth, silent mothers who hear their children say terrible things and wonder if all will be all right. Smoke, or the children of fire, sometimes pregnant with rain, or flat and stretched like the words of a lover who will not say, I love you. I think about the clouds when I am tired. I say things I don't mean. My anger, thunder, day, dark and blue. Forgive me for having to breathe the dusk each day into my lungs, or singing along with the radio out of tune. I am a man trying hard not to disappear, trying hard to stay just above the world. And this is called Rise and Fall. The world of the men was glamour. They cursed and loud talk late into the night, dream with their mouths. Sometimes it get real quiet and they ain't talking shit no more. They talk in their hearts, whispering like the white man is in the room and don't want their mother to see, for fear she will be angry and cast a shadow that will block the little bit of sun shining on their faces. And then, up out of that dark night, a clips and dirge of black toilet paper wet and stuck against all the big houses of their south, their voices climb the hill again, head to hallelujah and jump the way they did as boys when the radio told them Joe Louis was winning or Willie Mays hit that homer. Someone takes a piece of candy out of their pocket and their tongue is in Sugarland. Suddenly, all they can do is smile. Okay, and now I'll read just a few poems from One Shoe Marching Towards Heaven. And I'll just say this in part of the transition is that, and it's in line with what Stefan talked about. I studied the I Ching, and then I began practicing Tai Chi about 20 years ago. And so one of the things I'm really concerned with is like how human cognition, what exists before poetry, makes its way into actual words. And so I'll read one or two of them, but I'm working on a collection of poems that will translate the I Ching into the language, the common language of African Americans. The other thing about those poems is that they deal with contradictions. And so that's one of the things that instead of trying to resolve a poem as a perfect argument, like a koan in the Japanese tradition, the idea is to unravel thought. So I'll read the first one. This is koan number 23, which corresponds to hexagram number 23 in the I Ching. And the image is of a yang line at the top. That means a house is falling down. So it's about not going anywhere. And so this poem is, Lord, forgive me. I done stole something from myself and used it to pay the man who stole from me. Okay, and so that's an example of a koan, right? Which is working with contradictions. So not a perfect argument. If your mind spins a little bit, that's part of the purpose of the poem, to unravel thought as compared to present a perfected thought. So this is a poem called Heaven Number 1, Different Energy. Later that day, when I thought about heaven again, I remembered you in the morning with your head resting back, your eyes were closed. Lips together like there were no words left in the world. I kissed you, looked out onto the street and saw the snow in the trees. A young boy in a blue cap riding his back into the cold. I turned back to you, but you had risen then, and I watched you walk deeper into the house like a woman I never knew. We had already made love, and I wanted to kiss you again so that you would believe what I told you about the wild horses on the beach who eat out of strangers' hands. They come to me now in my dreams almost every night. and I'll read one more koan and then switch to another one. This is koan number 3, difficulty at the beginning. So the third hexagram in the I Ching. Really simple. If you're willing to work like a slave, anything is possible. And then I just got maybe 2 more, or 3 more actually. This is Love Song. Before I was born and born to an ambition, my father dreamed my mother as the woman he would one day love. Not knowing her face or the innocence she cultivated like a small cup of tea on a large round table in the house of my grandparents. My grandfather's anger rattled the table. He slammed his hand down, and my mother sipped calmly from the chipped teacup. There was a place near the rim where she ran her tongue across it, the tiny waves. I was a dream then. We all are dreams. Nothing is impossible, they would tell me. We are all like the land, boundless and deep, stretching into horizons, beautiful and vast. When I am singing their song now, even under the gentle fires of a calm life, I think of their love. It's shaped like clouds, covering a moon at night. Sometimes you can see through them, the moon there, shining bright, a strange flower in the sky. And then my father rides his horses into the distance. What now, she asks, and slams the door. Violence hidden, and the sex underneath that. Walk across the room and cry a little, but don't let nobody see it. Both of them, like opposites and ideas, with flesh pasted onto skeletons. Then the dust comes, then the speeches, the long rants in heads, fights that have no words, the dead people who could not rest, the sun going down. The old streets of the city, where once there were horses, a man singing ice, milk, butter, bread, what it's all about. He goes outside and talks to the man in the always winter, the cold heated by his breath. He whispers and the smoke rises. He sings the only song he knows. He will not go back into the house. He buys a horse who is too old to run and grabs the rope and walks him down the street and into the night, and the cold swallows him. And then this is the last poem, and I'll just talk 2 seconds about Crazy as Hell after this. This is called My Father Speaks of His Father. If you did not resist May's light, might sing different. There's still spring in the battlefields, and everywhere there's blood. Underneath everything, the skin of the world breathes, even when it is not broken. That's the secret. My own father taught me. He left like a season, but in that simple season when he fished in the muddy creek and made love to my mother, that was love. Some of the loves you can't remember. Some have no names. I was born in a love that did not last. Some of the loves are everlasting. Some are like the sun rising. We are not born to fight, but we do, and we tangle love in that fight. We resist the changing of the seasons with history and memory. Make a Bible of what was said. I don't know his face or the way he danced and made my mother smile, but I know he sang sometimes and she liked it. Fix my broken glasses. So the last thing I'll just talk about is Crazy as Hell. And Stephen mentioned it, but it's a really good book on Black history. Don't be scared. It's funny. If you laugh, it's not a problem. I'm going to read you guys a short section from it, which is a section on the Great Pretenders. And so this will give you an idea of it. In the section, The Great Pretenders, we have O.J. Simpson, Clarence Thomas, and then we also have Louis Armstrong. So, The Great Pretender, and I guess this is the other thing to talk about, is that the book does something that's never really been done before, and it relates to some of the I Ching work, but that's a whole long philosophical thing, not in the book. But it establishes archetypes in Black history. So, you know, number one archetype in Black history where we begin is the runaway, right? Obviously, but runaway is a metaphor not just for African Americans. Everybody runs away from something. And so there's that little twist in there, but then we also have the lawless, we have the outlaws, we have the committed, who are people that spent time in mental institutions. I mean, it will surprise you how an idea of sanity and insanity when applied to Black history becomes really, really important, because, I mean, really one way of defining slavery is that you're insane if you think you're free. Because people that thought they were free were treated as though they were insane. So it's a really interesting sort of different type of book. But I'll read this section on the Great Pretenders as I finish out. The Great Pretender. One of the highest levels of craziness is espionage. Sometimes Black folks fake like they are something they are not. Naturally, this began with slavery. Black people had to act like good slaves to survive. Even after emancipation, Black people often found it necessary to cover their genuine intent with false pretenses. For instance, Black people pretended to believe that stuff about heaven and hell in the hereafter. Slavery left little doubt they were already living in hell. They didn't have to guess who the devil was. If a pig went missing around hungry slaves, they'd pretend to be confused about how they wound up eating barbecue. Because this category involves trickery, even the sharpest students of Black history find it difficult to classify. You are required to see beyond deep contradictions and identify a Black person's true self. Is what looks like crazy really crazy? Is he just faking crazy? Or is she faking like she's not crazy when she is actually crazy? And then the other thing the book has is public service announcements. So after we present the archetypes, we have a public service announcement. So public service announcement. If you pretend to be something all of the time, then you're not pretending. The risk is that a person becomes the thing that they started off pretending to be. The point of the mask is to protect the person that it covers, and often it protects the community too. We all learned this during the coronavirus pandemic, but you have to take the mask off sometimes. If you can't ever take the mask off, then the mask no longer works in the way it was intended to work. Hey, thank you guys so much.
Hope, thank you for that brilliant reading. That was fantastic. There are books for sale here by Hoke and James. I hope you pick one up. I know they'll be happy to sign them. We have readings coming up when we move back to Bird in Hand in November. The 10th, Christopher Childers, who many of you know, will be here from LA reading with Tracy O'Day, who's here from the Isle of Lucy. No, that's Spinal Tap. After that, in December, Moira Egan will be here, a Baltimore native returning from Rome. So we're casting a pretty wide net. In January, Tracy Diamond and Justin Marks will read. And then at some point in the spring, we'll have Hayes Davis, we're trying to settle on a date, and Idra Novi. So please join us for those. And thank you all for coming. I have to say, more and more as we've gone along, this has come to mean so much to me personally that we can come together and hear poems and share them as a community. And I know seeing familiar faces coming and reading every month, that it is meaning something to you too. So thank you for being a part of this. Congratulations to the first-time readers. You did an amazing job. Fantastic. So please come back in November, and we'll look forward to seeing you all then.